Thanks for watching the MLS Fantasy Insider. Be sure to check out MLSFantasyBoss.com for more fantasy articles and come back here every Monday to listen to our next round preview. Hello everyone. Welcome to tonight's show. Let's see here. Let me get the social ready. I had forgotten to prep that. Let's see. Tonight's round 19 preview. Short recap of a DGW round 18. That's right, DGW. What a DGW it was. I fall into the group of people who would prefer to forget this DGW. I think Christian definitely falls into the other camp. Rough times. Let's see here. Who's here? Do we got Gene? Gene is here. We can do it.
Recording in progress.
There we go. We've got Gene. Let's see here. I'm on the wrong analytics. There we go. That's what I want there. Let's see here. Round 19 team. There we go. All right. Let me get the social out. Let everyone know that we are now live with Christian. Bam. And bam. So there we go. We've got the social out on Twitter and now on Blue Sky. So if you would be so kind to like and repost those, would very much appreciate it. Helps getting people spread out for the news, or help spreading the news out for the people. There we go. Got that little mixed up there. Let me hit up Discord real quick so that everybody can know what's going on in case they want to join. Up to the I usually prep this beforehand, but I just forgot this time. I was working on some other stuff and just forgot to get this prepped. Round 19. There we go. Send that out. Push that out on Discord and then ping the whole server. Join now for the fun. Christians change your name to just X ... I'm always like looking for your names. Changing things up. All right, there we go. Okay, everything is out. Coming over here, looking at that. Gene, what is this? You got a little fancy hat. Top fan. I don't know if I gave that to you, but it's by golly, it is well earned for sure. So there we go. Okay. Well, thanks everyone for joining us tonight. I know that it was a big, huge double game week last week with a lot of fantastic scores. And so Christian and I are happy to be able to come with you tonight. Ashley's not here. She is celebrating her husband's birthday. Sure, I guess we'll let that pass. Sure, she can have that. But we are still excited to come to you all today, especially since since Christian and I will be having some vacation coming up pretty soon. So I'll be out at least one episode. Christian will be out for a couple, but happy to have everyone here. So we will go ahead and get started. Please do keep sharing that social media. Let everyone know if you're joining us for the first time here on YouTube. Welcome. We come to you live pretty much every Monday at the beginning of the next round. A couple weeks ago we didn't because of some other logistics, but pretty much every Monday we're live here streaming with just our thoughts and tips at the very beginning of a fantasy round. So things change. That's why we encourage our community, but we think it's important to get the word out there, make sure people are planning soon. So that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Hello and welcome to the MLS Fantasy Insider, our preview of round 19 of the 2025 MLS Fantasy season. This episode is brought to you by Happy Birthday, Spencer. Ashley's not here because celebrating Spencer's birthday, so big round of applause from the community. Woohoo! But actually, Also brought to you by the amazing MLS Fantasy Insider Patreon community. It's because of you that we are able to keep this project going. Find out more over at patreon.com/MLSFI. I'm your host, Reid Connolly from MLSFantasyBoss.com, and tonight I'm joined by my partner in fantasy, Christian Ward. How you doing tonight, man?
Oh, great. How are you?
You said not great?
I said I'm great.
Oh, you're great. I thought it came off as not great. And I was like, oh no.
Is this thing on?
That's it. Testing. Yeah. We'll see what's there. For those of you who are listening to this as a podcast, I encourage you to head over to the YouTube channel very quickly and just check out there. We started streaming about, I guess, 10-ish minutes before we actually went live, but just seek through there and you can see Christian's excellent background. He is not in the bedroom as he normally is. He is in a great little. He's giving me a strange look because it's not.
I thought
fake
you were talking
background.
about my CV.
No, it's gonna be like no. It's like his little office space, little den, and so it's a nice little setup back there. The trees waving in the background.
Here, I'll get out of the way.
So no. I mean, we're here for you. So a little couch cushions. Look at that. It's all good. It's all good. So yeah, check it out. Nice little switcheroo right there from.
I just injured myself.
Oh my gosh, and he's on the injury list. What's going on?
Right.
What is going on? Well,
I'm
we're happy to have
2 weeks.
That's right. Good thing you're going on vacation. So there's that.
Yeah.
But we're super excited to have Christian here. We're coming off of a big double game week, and so we're going to do a little recap for that. I don't know. We'll see how deep we get into with this one because it is a double game week. Those are inherently different than our regular rounds, but they're also incredibly fun. So, Christian, let's just keep it off. How did you do, and what are some of your takeaways?
I did okay. I thought I was riding high until I looked at some of the high scores. I got 194 points, and I jumped up to overall rank 5, which I'm happy with. It was a pretty good week for me. I mean, I didn't expect Vancouver to get a clean sheet versus LAFC in LA, so that was helpful. I stuck Banji Hlongwane on my desk, on my bench, or not on my bench. I started him, and that worked out. A couple of things that I was disappointed with, though, is all the rotation, unexpected rotation. I did not expect Luca Orjano to rotate. He didn't even get a minute in the second game. He did really well in the first game, though, with a 12-pointer without a clean sheet. What else? Like the San Diego defense, that was another disappointment. Like, I didn't pick anybody on San Diego, but I'm telling you, they're a different team without McNair, like at the back. This happened earlier in the year when McNair was out for one reason or another. I can't remember why, but he was out for like a few weeks. And Pilcher stepped in, and Pilcher's not terrible, but man, they've conceded multiple goals with Pilcher in there without McNair. So yeah, I was kind of disappointed with that. I was hoping, because I was disappointed in that last week because I wanted to pick defenders from San Diego this week. So it's a pre-disappointment. And my biggest takeaway so far is that for years and years on this podcast and in chats and in conversation, the people who have been playing this for a long time have been telling you that home teams are by far better to pick from than away teams, the home versus away, because MLS's home field advantage being ridiculous. It's like the most separation between home and away in any major sports league in the world, in any sport. I don't know if this holds true for this year. I know that home teams and home players still have an advantage, but I'm really going to go out on a limb here and say there are very viable away players this year. I haven't got reasons as to why, because it's the same distances to fly between, matches as before. It's the same. Everything is the same. The only thing that's the difference is coaches and players. And, who knew that would make a difference? Anyway, I really do think that sides like Vancouver and San Diego and Minnesota and to some extent Philadelphia, strong away teams. I chalk it up. Columbus is another one. I chalk it up to just basic disparity between the haves and have-nots. Like system matters, coaches matter, belief in the team matters, things like that. And I think that Vancouver is riding high. They've got momentum. I think Minnesota is the same. San Diego, certainly. Those are the three big ones that I can think of right now that are unexpectedly doing well in away matches. So there are, others too, like Orlando, Miami, things like that, things that we would normally do. But I think it's more of a thing this year to take away players. Last week I took a few away players and they all hit. Dreyer is one of them. Like nobody, most of the field did not expect Dreyer to do well. They didn't pick him, or they were fine fading him as the scrubbable mid, and then they paid the price to the tune of 28 points. So you got to go with the hot hand, I think, is the thing this year. Go with the hot hand. Trust in the systems. Trust in the players. I have a hard time even saying it because I'm one of those people who are staunchly home players are who you pick first. So that's my main takeaway, especially after this double game week. I guess I don't know how, I can't explain why, but I tried. What do you think, Reid?
No, I think it's a great takeaway and a great comment, because last week Ashley and I did highlight several away matches that we thought were going to be profitable for managers, and one of them being Nashville. We tapped Nashville as having some potential as away. I had them on my bench as a potential clean sheet shout out for Keeperoo. I ended up going with Vancouver, so I got some points there. My round was not fantastic. I got 145. My captain was wrong, had a couple of guys on the bench that didn't work, had fine goal that didn't work out for me. So they were just, players did fine, but there were just other players who did better. And so that was kind of where I hit. And I know several good players who finished in that 140s, 150s, and it was just kind of disappointing with some of that. But no, you were right. There were several teams last week. Let me load up a different tab so I can look through it. That we did talk about as potentially being attractive. We didn't highlight Cincinnati, which is one of the takeaways I had, was like, Evander, there he is. This is the Evander we've been looking for. He's still not connecting with Denke. Orishano came in there and surprised us, but then he didn't start in the second game, which is still why we're all kind of hot and cold on Orishano. But this is the Evander we were wanting. That was on the road. And that was the big hesitation for Cincinnati. Yeah, that was the big hesitation, was the Montreal game looked good, but which Evander are you going to get? The Orlando game looked good because Orlando isn't super solid, but what Evander are you going to get? What's going to happen? And so it was a hesitation that we had. San Jose was another team that we tapped as a good away home split, but we liked the away game better, and that's what turned out. They dropped 4 on St. Louis because of all the XG that was across the board with all those underlying stats. And so that, then of course Nashville was another one that we mentioned. And so we did mention some of these away teams last week, and it's so much of the home field advantage is real, and a lot of things being even, we do lean to the home team. But I think that's the key element there is things being even. We're getting better websites and better stats about XG, including some that I'm sure we'll be talking about in the coming weeks in the show that have been reaching out to us for some more partnership, at least visibility, not partnership. But we're looking at the underlying XG stats, and that's been expanding. That's been getting more refined. We've been looking at the form that people have been in. We've been looking at all these call-ups that matter, like the bonus points. That's what I was looking for earlier, like the underlying bonus point potential that players are getting. It was a reason, and this is kind of a preview from what's coming later in the show. It's a reason we shied away from Dallas, even with their double home, was because at the time Musa wasn't producing a lot, Acosta wasn't producing a lot. They weren't having that attack, and so yes, they're home, but there looked to be better options, had some better underlying numbers. And so those underlying numbers do mean a lot. And perhaps we're getting to the time where we have resources that help us dig into that more consistently to help us look at that. We're also clearly at the point of the year where we're losing some of the recency bias with and the small sample size of where we're looking at some of these numbers. Beginnings of the year when we're 4, 5, 6 games in, it means nothing. There's just so few games. But now we're 18, 19 games in for a lot of players, and so we're seeing a lot more consistency. And of course, we still had some stuff with Gold Cup going on. People coming back in from international. So it's always a wild, bonkers time. But that's a great call out, and I do think it does deserve to have some mention. Is just good away teams or favorable away matches that people maybe shouldn't ignore. Maybe that's a new article series that we have coming out, maybe not regularly, but when needed, of the don't overlook the away team kind of scenario. A lot of great scores I'm seeing in chat. 192 from Meg. That's amazing. Black and Red got 204. Gene with 171. We got from, let's see, Zebra with 174. So some awesome scores right there in chat. If you're still in chat with us, share your scores. If you're listening to us, respond back to this message on Twitter or on Blue Sky with your score. Would love to hear how well you did or the frustration you had with what was going on. Backtrack quickly for me. Already mentioned OMG Evander. That was crazy. But I also tapped Prince last week as well from Montreal as one to keep an eye on. Didn't get anything in the second game, but got another goal in that game against Cincinnati. That's like I think at least the last 2 of 3 games that he scored. So keep an eye on him. I think he's still one to watch for a potential maybe differential player right there. We had mentioned Surridge. Mentioned that Nashville Surridge was a monster this week. Couldn't expect. I had my capped on Mukhtar, which was not better than Heel, which I know Ashley had mentioned before, and was apparently the wrong Nashville attacker this week. But yeah, Surridge had a fantastic game right there. And San Jose already mentioned. Those are some of those underlying numbers we mentioned. I was keeping an eye on Columbus in particular, and I still have concerns about Columbus. I think I was right. I know I was right about Columbus's back line, that even going up against Atlanta, they did not get that clean sheet. They did get it against Philly, so you got that for those of you who went with Columbus. Philly's recovering from getting players to come back in, but I still have questions about their back line in general and their offense. So I know Rossi was potential a captain. There's a lot of opportunities there. Didn't get the score I think a lot of people wanted. Gazdag did a little bit in the first game, didn't come back, so I think there's still questions right there. So I'm just really lukewarm on Columbus, and I think this double game showed that as well. And then mentioned Dallas. They did get Musa got some production. Acosta wasn't as consistent there. We'll talk more about that later, but that was something that did pan out. And finally, just the quick takeaways. I'll go to chat real quick to see anybody else who has some thoughts or any questions that you guys have you'd want us to field. Mentioned Seattle. Saw a few teams, several teams in general chat last week where people had a Seattle switcheroo in there. And Fry got 7 points. A couple of defenders got 10 points. And so you definitely had very competitive scores from those single game week players. But that's what I wanted to highlight, because I said at that point, like, that's the risk. We're usually looking at 1.5 times times points with this. I mean, Takaoka got 10, so that was still a better. Willis, who I had as my keeperoo, got 8, and so that's still 1 point higher. It doesn't always turn out that way, but it still shows that even these players that don't get 2 clean sheets, they can still outscore those players who are on a single game. So it definitely worked out well. If those people who were going with a keeperoo, you at least weren't too far off some of the big keepers. You may have had a better defender than other people. I know Feingold's 1 was a big, just glaring frustration for me right there. Or if you ended up, I had Gutman on the bench, but he stayed on the bench, so no problems there. So some of that. But just be careful. It worked out this week, but it's always still a risk. And the double game week players still usually end up being better, even if they are home away split or like Willis, 2 away games if they look good to Christian's point. Other than that, not a whole lot that I want to take away from here. Good double game week. Keep an eye on those rotations. We saw some people like Orshano who rotated we may not expected. Feingold had some rotation we may not have expected there. And so just keep an eye on those rotations as we have a few more double game weeks coming up. People are funneling back in from their international duty, and so we'll see more of that. Let's go to chat real quick. Let's see here. Evander capped Megan. Oh my gosh, Meg, that was so good. Orshano on the bench. I didn't have faith in my own team, so fantastic there for you. Let's see here. Any other questions? Mukhtar was a solid captain choice. Thank you, Black and Wood. Yes, the DC game. It didn't work out for him. I was really looking at those games. That New England game and that DC game just looks so good for New England, and they were so good for Surge. So there was that there. And then Wagner didn't do great in that second game. So it's different. These double games are weird. I know Black and Red mentioned earlier in chat he doesn't like the double games because he never seems to do well. But this week he did that 200-point score. So fantastic score right there. I love it. I think it's a great, more consistent flair of our game that we get to see. They're always fun. Seeing big numbers is always fun as well. And so if you did well, congratulations. I'm super excited for that. I hope some of the advice that we gave you helped you, or at least help you through the thought process for that. I hope the community helped you if you were able to head over to the Discord and chat through there. And if you didn't do well, please come to the community and share your frustrations, the almost decisions you made, the last minute changes that you overthought that didn't turn out for you. Just bring that to the community. That's what we're all here for, and it's such a fun part. We're going to cut the break in real quick, but be sure to pay attention to the first part of the break because this is not your standard single game week. So there's a little bit of nuance to it, but we'll be covering that right after this. Let's see here. I don't know if you guys in chat are seeing this. I'm seeing it. We got top fans in chat right now. Apparently it's a new thing that YouTube is demoing. It's kind of bouncing back and forth to see what's going on. It started out with Gene. Now it's Meg who's got #1 fan, Black and Red, right there at #2. So I don't know how this algorithm works or what goes on, but it'll be fun if you all want to battle out for who ends up being the top fan of the stream. I have no idea what that even means. I have no idea.
I got this.
Christian's like, it's going to be me. It's going to be. Can it even be you if you're on the stream? Maybe. Can I be my own top fan?
Probably. I think it probably just comes down to who's saying more stuff.
It's because she talks a lot. I mean, that could be it. I don't know. The demo. It made me think real quick.
Like, don't get me in trouble with Meg. I did not.
I'm not getting you in trouble.
Meg, if I wasn't talking about you.
I'm not getting you in trouble with Meg. Let's see. I was wondering if we had hit some like subscriber threshold. I was excited for a second. It's like, nah, YouTube's just
testing it.
Testing something. He's just gonna go.
It's hilarious.
Just gonna go for it. I love it. Let's see here. All right. Sending out the social for the second half of the show. It's really fun for me to see how like the show changes over the season as we have like so much emphasis on the first part of the show and then try to get there and it gets kind of longer, but a little bit later in the year we get a little bit less at the beginning with the takeaways because it's everyone's kind of getting a handle on.
My takeaways were.
You had a great one. It was great.
Yeah. No, I didn't have really many. I just wanted to say that one thing.
No, that was an excellent takeaway. I appreciated it very much. The community is better for your insights, Christian.
Gosh.
It's true. It's true. All right. New social is out there. So, again, please, I appreciate anybody who wants to reshare that as we're getting into the second part of the show. Hello and welcome back. We're talking about our housekeeping quickly as we go into our player picks for round 19. But the housekeeping, as I said before the show break, this is not your usual double game week, and you want to be ready for that because games start on Thursday, July 3rd at 7:30 p.m. with New York City FC versus Toronto. Christian, you have your hand up.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is not a double game week.
No, did I say double? Single game week. It is not your typical
I was
single
going to say, who's
game
playing twice? Nobody's
week.
playing
No,
twice.
no, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
That was me misspeaking. It is not your typical single game week because games are starting on Thursday, and there's only one team there. But still, even then, we do have Friday games, 4th of July games for those of you who are going to be out and about and able to do that. And those games are also just there's just three. There's just three games on the 4th of July: Dallas versus Minnesota, Colorado versus Sporting Kansas City, and LA Galaxy versus Vancouver Whitecaps. So 8:45, 9:30, and 10:30 right there. So all of these four games do give you some Aru options if you want to utilize any of them. We'll get into who we think may be viable for those Arus, but after that, we hit a big block of games on Saturday with our mostly typical Apple TV lineup. We do have a game, Charlotte versus Orlando, that starts at 7:15 instead of the typical 7:30. We have several 7:30s, but we have that 7:15 game of Charlotte versus Orlando on Saturday, July 5th. Then we have several games at 10 o'clock, so you have easy switcheroos there as well, and some of those games looking pretty good. So you definitely have a lot of Aru options this time as opposed to what we did during the DGW previous to that. And finally, on Sunday, at the very end, we do have one game with the Seattle Sounders versus Columbus Crew at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So it's a full slate of games right there. Be sure to check it out. We are starting a tad bit early for a single game week. And be sure that you are aware of that and have your teams ready to go. To help you have your teams ready to go, head over to the MLS Fantasy Boss Discord, head over to the Fantasy Tools section, and go to the 2025 Mega Reference. There's all sorts of great information there. Talks about player call-ups, talks about internationals, talks about injuries, expected return dates. Pretty much everyone who's going to be back from international duty is back now. We still have a few people who are lingering in the Gold Cup. And so keep an eye on that, see how they are doing. We have all the teams returning back from that club champion cup thingamabob that they ended up like giving tickets for $4 a piece, whatever it was. But yeah, the Club World Cup teams have crashed out of that, and so MLS teams are returning. So we'll have pretty much full slots for a lot of the teams. There are a few still missing. There are some notable injuries. I don't know if you want to mention those, Christian, right now, or just plug the Discord for it.
Just plug the Discord. I mean, all right, fine. I gotta find it. I will do the suspensions. How's that sound?
You put it in the injuries and absences channel, so I thought it would be easy to get to.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I was looking in the wrong channel right there. So yes, injuries and absences. Okay, so these are the players who are suspended. And the reason I did this way, I just stuck it in a channel this week because here's a caveat. Everybody that we've been using for safe scrubs is probably not safe anymore. There's probably 2 players that are literally safe now. I don't know. Brandon's going to update that list, but I did this injury thing or the suspension thing because we know these guys are out no matter what, and because they're suspended. So those people are Schleich from Atlanta, Zaha from Charlotte, Reggie Cannon from Colorado, Joel Waterman from Montreal, Tavon Gray from New York, City FC. Uh, I don't know how to say his first name, so I'm just going to mispronounce it as Jimmer Forey.
Support it.
Um, I know that's not how you say it. From Portland Timbers. Reid Baker Whiting, he's going to be out for the Seattle Sounders. Jake Davis is out, suspended for SKC. And finally, Priso for Vancouver. And that's probably going to be a real issue for Vancouver because Kubas came off a little bit injured in the last match against LAFC. So if Priso's out and Kubas is out, I can't see somebody like Seb Berhalter dropping back and being effective as a defender or a defensive midfielder. So who knows? I don't know what they're going to do. I still wouldn't count Vancouver out, but their spine is going to be weakened one way or the other this weekend.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Christian. And you can find out that list and keep up with everything over at the MLS Fantasy Boss Discord. The easiest way to do that is head to mlsfantasyboss.com/discord. There is the link there if you're not already a member. It is fun, it's free, and you can hang out with a fantastic community, including some of the #1 players in this game. And you can ask them questions and they'll respond to you. So like Black and Red, who's in the chat with us right now, who had over 200 points. He's in chat. He can very well answer your questions if he's around. Christian, #5 overall this round. Is that right, Christian? Is in chat and answers questions. And so lots of people you hear on the show in that chat, and it's just a fantastic community. So check it out. Okay, let's talk about the players who we are targeting on this Monday, days before the rounds. Haven't even had a chance to digest all the information. Are the odds even out? Who knows? So let's talk to you about what we are thinking about just based on this initial impression. So starting as always with keepers and defenders. Christian, who are you looking at?
I think Tomas Romero for New York City FC has to be the chalk goalkeeper for your bench for the front end of a keeperoo this week. It's quite obvious choice as the first game and not a bad shot at a clean sheet given that Toronto, even though Toronto has shown some signs of attacking prowess lately. I mean, after all, they did score 3, but that was at home against Portland. I still think that he's the obvious choice for your bench. I'm going to follow him up with Rafael Cabral. I don't like RSL. I'm sorry, RSL fans. I don't like him. But I will say that they tend to keep clean sheets at home. At least they're competitive at home defensively. In St. Louis, even though, I mean, if you look at the forwards and you sort by, last 3 average, you'll see Klaus right at the top of that list. So I don't know if Cabral is necessarily a shoe-in. You could go with somebody like Takaoka if you trust them away. I mean, they did just shut out LAFC in LA, and they've got a great defense. Willis, he's an option, but I don't know if you trust him, given that they kind of ship goals when Walker Zimmerman's not there. I mean, it's really a crapshoot for your fallback. Hopefully, Romero gets a clean sheet and you don't have to worry about it. But I wouldn't expect a whole lot of points from your keepers this week. And in fact, it goes the same for defenders. Right now, I have Justin Haak, who is kind of the obvious, safest for minutes pick on that New York back line. I do have Orjano, even though he came off with a knock, was listed as questionable for the game 2 of last week. I think that if was questionable, sat out the whole game, he's got a whole week to train. I think he's probably going to be okay. So I've got him in. And here's kind of a hot take. I'm gonna stick Bonji back on my team, and he's gonna be a differential because he's away at Dallas. And given what Dallas, I mean, they scored 2 on San Diego, but San Diego has a giant Pilcher-sized hole in their defense. So I'm thinking that uh, my loons are probably going to have a really good shot at shutting him out. And the other reason I'm taking Bonji is because he's going to be playing out of position as like a right midfielder slash winger. And he scored 2 goals in game 1 of last week. Of course, that was at home. Blah blah blah. You can deal with those narratives, but he's out of position. And in this fantasy game, we take players who are out of position, defenders playing attacking roles out of position whenever they start. It's a good policy to have, and that's why he's on my team. I'm probably just going to roll a 5 at the back auto room with 2 scrubs. So that means I'm going to be starting Longwane and Orejano and praying. That's what I'm going to be doing. So, because nobody else really appeals to me. I've seen Justin Glad. I've seen, another differential defender is Ocampo from Vancouver. By the way, before I move on to the next thing, I think that if you stick him on your bench, I don't think you'll be disappointed. But you could be. Who knows? And this is going to be a wildly unpopular pick, but Kai Wagner away to Nashville. Again, he's not really an attacking fullback, kind of is, but he's on all set pieces, and that's why we picked Wagner. He's got the biggest game as a defender, so like for fantasy, so he's worth consideration at least. I mean, I'm really punting this week on defenders. I'm not convinced by anybody. Certainly not San Diego. Like, unless Patty McNair is all of a sudden miraculously healed, there's no effing way I'm picking a San Diego defender or goalkeeper. They've shipped multiple goals every time Pilcher's in that starting line. So that's who I've got. Just a bunch of punts. What do you think, Reid?
So I think you're spot on with Romero being just the default chalk keeperoo here. I mean, it makes sense. Toronto did get a few goals last week. They had home games, so that was good for them. But they did get a few goals. Wasn't consistent for who was scoring those goals. And Romero has 1 clean sheet and has conceded 1 goal, I think. So pretty good right there. Freese is still with the U.S. national team with the Gold Cup, so he won't be there. I think it's a good shout. It's early on that day with a pretty decent shot, so he's the very logical keeperoo that's right there, and he's not too expensive if you're trying to make those things work. So it works. After that, I agree. It really opens up with who you want to go with. I've seen a lot of people go with Takaoka for Vancouver. I will just, and I understand it, I will just say that the one bit of caution is it seems like LA Galaxy's defense is hitting a bit more. They're getting some more goals. They're generating some more chances. More importantly, they don't always fall, but they're getting more chances there, and so that may not be as easy of a game as maybe we once thought about when we were looking at betting against Galaxy earlier in the year when all of their attacking pieces were missing. So they're getting a little bit more right there. I've seen Cabral a lot. I guess I share your thoughts about RSL. I'm not sold on Cabral. Yes, they have gotten a few clean sheets at home. They've been a lot of away games. That altitude is vicious. But I just don't know. I like CJ Dos Santos better with San Diego as an option. I think their team's been doing well. They've got some solid defensive options in general, and Houston's not really been hitting. It's not a for sure thing because they definitely get the 1 goal in here in a lot of the games that they play, but I think that's a pretty good matchup for them right there. I've seen people talk about Fry, and I've seen him pretty consistently mentioned in chat as well. And I understand that with what I combine what I said about Columbus. I'm not sold on Gosdog. Rossi has not been consistent, and Seattle just had this great clean sheet performance this past week as well, and they're home again with the late game. So I definitely can see Fry as the back end of your keeperoo if you want to go there. Um, I've seen Willis, and I also don't disagree with that one either. I do, as you say, without Zimmerman there, they're a bit more vulnerable. I think I'd be more looking at attacking options from Nashville than I would be at defensive options for Nashville, and so I'd want to pass on that keeper spot for there right now. So currently, I'm sitting on Romero and CJ Dos Santos, but definitely very strongly considering Fry as well as the option to see where I end up with at the end of the week. Going over to defense, again, a lot of these same teams that we've already been talking about. New York City FC, pick your favorite player with who you like to go with. I mean, you got a lot of options with there. I don't think there's a lot of difference between them. If you prefer a defender, go with that. If you prefer an attacker, go for there. But pick your favorite New York City FC player. I think you can have them on the bench and have that pair up as your keeperoo. If you're going to do that, unless you're Christian and run 5 in the back, then you can't do that. So you can see what you're doing with that. Touched
I'm
on
not sold on the 5 at the back, by the way.
No, that's okay. That's okay. You touched on Wagner, Orishano. The comment I have here in my notes is Orishano. This again, we can't get away. Whenever we're finally like we're done talking about Orishano, he gets a goal. Then he picks up a knock, and now where are we at again with him? So I get it. If you want to go with Orishano home to Chicago, looks like a great match. If he's building a connection with Evander, even better. That's what we've wanted. But what's going to happen? Is there going to be rotation? Did he have bad as a knock? And so that's going to be kind of more of a game day decision. I'll let you know what I find out from there. Just like I said with New York City, if you want to go with pairing up someone with Dos Santos from San Diego, pick your player. Pick your player. Several options with San Diego who you could go with. Who do
I have a stat for you.
Go.
Luca Orishano has, of all defenders in MLS, by far the most shots. He's got 42 shots total.
I did not know that, but I'm not surprised.
20 of them on target, 3 shots per 90. That's pretty good for a forward. Okay, so
it is, but that was the thing with him is that he was taking all the shots, they weren't falling. He wasn't really taking enough always to get bonus points for them. And what you really wanted him to do.
And look at Sam Surridge before he got hot.
Exactly. But what you really wanted from Orishano was to be passing the ball to people like Evander and Dinke to get to get the goals. And so
for sure,
it just wasn't clicking as well. But San Diego, I mean, I've seen people with McNair, with McVeigh, any of those guys. I probably lean McVeigh just because of the total points and the point to value ratio there. But
McNair is injured; he's out.
Well, that's good there. I didn't even know that because I was looking at McVeigh. So thank you for that update.
No, McVeigh is fine. McNair is out.
That's what I meant. I wasn't looking at McNair because I was looking at McVeigh, and so I didn't even look up his injury status.
All right.
Small mental note aside about injury status updates on the website. But so I'm looking at McVeigh. That's who I have paired up with Dos Santos right there. And then back to my notes real quick, going over everybody else. I was going to ask you about Minnesota, but you covered the options right there. Vancouver.
I also think Dane St. Clair is a great fallback keeper.
Yeah, that works there. You talked about Ocampo with Vancouver. Again, playing out of position is always good. And then there's Nashville. And I mentioned that I like attacking options for Nashville. And so I think you could definitely look at one of the wingers for Nashville for who you wanted to go with. So Lovitz or Nahar. Nahar's been, I think, the typical one that people have been picking. both basically the same in price. But I think going with one of those Nashville attackers who can get some crosses in there is definitely viable. I think you could potentially triple stack Nashville this week. You don't have to go with that. I do think a couple of Nashville players are definitely good shout outs for their form and this matchup right there.
If Baribo is back, that changes that calculus.
That's fair. That is fair. That is a game day decision. They play at 8:30, so you will have time, depending on what your setup is, to make some changes, especially if you're looking at San Diego as backups. Heck, you could even look at, well, I'm going to say this isn't going to work. I mean, not a huge New York Red Bull advocate. Maybe you could get some differentials with San Jose, but I'm also equally not an advocate of their defense. So that's probably too bad.
Right.
But there's your Seattle right there. If you don't like the matchup, then you could load in like a Roldan or someone like that for Seattle and just get yourself matched up right there. Big flyer, saw this in chat. I'll go back real through and look. Is Austin FC against Los Angeles FC as potentially looking at Austin's defense. I don't know. I've been more impressed with Austin's defense at times than I thought I would be. I don't think it's against LAFC, especially since they've been finished with the Club World Cup longer than Miami has. They've also shed the dead weight. Sorry, Ashley, that is Giroud from their team. So not that really helps them. It's just a fun thing to comment with Ashley not here. But I'm not sure. I get it. But I think that would fall outside of definitely the 5 that I would look at for defender options, and I don't think it would be even in a top 3 for me for keepers. But I appreciate the boldness.
LAFC is actually a better option than
That's fair. I mean, looking at road teams, we could throw Feingold in the mix for potential
for sure
defender option.
I wanted to bring it up, but I didn't want to be laughed at. I think the Revs have a great shot as well. But here I am talking about all these away defenses, and I'm not supposed to be doing that. This is like taboo, right?
No, nothing is taboo. We broke this ground at the beginning of the show. I mean, we're looking at options, and as I broken records say, I mean, we're talking through the thought process here. And so the goal of this segment of the show isn't to say, these are the 3 guys, these are the 2 guys, this is what you have to be. Here's our thought process as we're thinking it through. Here's some other people on the fringes and how we're viewing them right now. But get the conversation going, engage with the community. I mean, this is just, if you're thinking this guy, maybe it helps validate some line of thinking. If you hadn't thought about it, well, here's a name you can jot down there if you weren't thinking about that. So other than that, I think we've covered a lot of the people. I'm not confident in clean sheets with those Friday games. I mean, maybe in Minnesota on the road, but Moose has been scoring more for Dallas, so maybe they can get something in. Colorado had some clean sheets recently, but Sporting Kansas City's has some ability there to generate some threat. I'm just not sure. I could see goals in these Friday games, so I'm not very confident. I feel better about keepers in the Saturday games than I do about keepers in the Friday games. Just where my head is.
I don't feel good about any of them.
That's fair. But I'm just looking at what I there. Let's see here, going through here. Chat real quick. Do we have any update on when Patty is supposed to return? Not that I'm aware of.
I don't.
We have not seen that.
He just keeps getting listed as out every week. when he gets listed as questionable, then we can start talking about, return dates. But not a peep. I have no idea.
Yeah, and then Black and Red adds, if you're looking at Orshano and he doesn't start, Orshano to McVay, simple swap. Absolutely. Yeah, San Diego having one of those last games, easy to add in there. I've seen some people who have done double stacks or triple stacks with San Diego. I don't think I'm that confident. But yeah, easy switch. There's definitely some teams later in the round that offer good chances if those early games don't play out. So definitely look at those. Okay, let's talk about some of these offensive players since we have been mentioning that a little bit lately. So let's move on to midfield. Christian, who are you looking at?
Well, I think Evander and Dreyer are the 2 that you have to have for like indisputably
Agreed.
have. And from there it gets a little bit wishy-washy. So for my attackers, I really dove deep about like looking at matchups, and I really think that, and some of this stuff is like, what if this person doesn't play, kind of thing. So like if Alonso Martinez doesn't play because he just got bombed out of the what are they playing, the Gold Cup?
Yeah.
They just got bombed out, and if he, so like every New Yorker out there is going to say, oh yeah, he's definitely going to start. I don't think he's going to start because he's returning from his, I know this, Gold Cup was played here, and all that stuff. I don't know if he's going to start. I just don't know. If he does start, I'll consider him on my bench. If he doesn't start, I'm taking Hannes Wolf because I needed an attacker from that game. Now, which attacker? I have no idea. For the longest time this morning when I was building a draft, I was looking at, okay, do I take Wolf or Hawk if I have Martinez? Because if, like, which one is better? I mean, with the defensive options this week being such crap, I feel like Wolf is kind of like a bird in the hand situation, or I'm sorry, Hawk is like a bird in the hand situation. Like there's a clear advantage matchup for a home team playing at Yankee Stadium against a really shitty team in Toronto. Sorry, guys, but they're getting better, but they're still probably not going to score against New York. So what I'm saying is, do you wait on the side of Hawk, or do you wait on the side of an attacker if you're going to triple up of two attackers or two defenders? So I don't know. Right now I've got Hawk, Wolf, and Romero, and that's a tough decision. It's a judgment call. If Martinez starts, I don't know, man. Like Martinez, he'll get one goal and then he'll get subbed off for Bobby. All right. Like, I don't know if he's really worth that. Whereas Wolf, he'll probably assist 3 goals against Toronto or score one himself. So I think that's probably the smarter play. I don't know. I don't know what the underlying numbers look like. I haven't looked at them. I'm sorry, it's early in the week. But that's what my gut is telling me and what the eyes are telling me right now. So Wolf, the second person I have, lovely person I have on my bench right now is Pep Biel. And the reason I have Pep Biel on my bench is because Orlando have been conceding. And I really think that he's going to actually be more responsible with Zaha out for generating attacking play and creating chances and things like that. I feel that this is another gut play. I briefly looked at the underlying stats for BL. They're not spectacular, but they are formidable enough. And I think he's a smart bench play. It's a good idea. Others that I would consider for the bench are Martin Ojeda, for sure. Martin Ojeda, he's who I had in my first draft on the bench. In fact, I started him. I put him out because I believe in the boy. You could go also because Charlotte at home. I mean, Charlotte's defense has really fallen off this season. Like, really, really fallen off. So they're leaky at the back. I really favor Orlando's attack if Pappy doesn't like tinker too much with his lineup. So guys like Ojeda, Pasalic was a monster on this double game week. He had a breakout 2-game series. I don't know if it's sustainable, but I'm hoping it's sustainable. Um, he really, really looked good, and he was the guy who drove a lot of what they were doing. So either one of those guys, probably a good idea for a bench play for a differential, I guess. Um, a different with Ojeda, I would definitely consider. I mean, I wouldn't say no to starting him. The third guy um, that I'm on the fence about is Espinoza. Christian Espinoza, he had a good first game last week. It was his first good game in a long time. Uh, he's been underperforming. He's streaky. The guy is streaky this year. Like he'll have like 4 great games and they'll have like 4 really shitty games. We'll drop a 3-pointer. And everybody will forget about him. And then he'll come out like he did on Wednesday and he'll drop 14 points, like out of nowhere. So he is still on set pieces. He is still his, as we say in the Discord, his his expected guy factor for the stat for the team for the San Jose Earthquakes is high. He's the guy for San Jose. So yeah, I mean, they're at home against, Red Bulls. Red Bulls, I don't know if the Red Bulls are good or not. Like the Red Bulls could very easily fly all the way across the country to San Jose and score 4 goals and just crush the Quakes. Seriously, that could happen. It's not outside the realm of probability, actually. Um, San Jose could in turn score 2 or 3 on them. So I don't know. It's your choice. But I guess the third guy I'm looking at for the field is Hani Mukhtar. I think that Hani, and this is something I kind of want to dive into a little bit here, Reid. Forgive me, cut me off if I'm too long-winded. But Hani Mukhtar and Sam Surridge, got him too, but against Philadelphia. Philadelphia struggled last week again, or this last game on Saturday, because, or wait, I guess it was Sunday. I don't know, whatever. They struggled because they had like 5 starters out. Like they had to roll all their young kids and their scrubs. Even Calvin Sullivan played the game. So what I'm saying is, with Philadelphia, you just don't know, and they still held Columbus to 1 goal in Columbus. So I'm really not liking. I don't know. Is Nashville better than Columbus? I mean, are they really? I mean, Surridge is hot right now. Like he can't stop scoring. You got to go with the hot hand, as I said before. But I have a bad feeling about Hani Mukhtar this week. Not because he blanked sort of in his double game week. That's not why I'm hesitant. It has everything to do with Philadelphia. And I don't know if game state could drive them into fantasy oblivion. It could. So I'm just saying, caveat emptor with Nashville. I do like them. I do, but I don't, and they're going to be on my team, but I wouldn't be shocked if that was just a really bad piece of chalk I just created by telling you that they're on my team. So, so yeah, that's it for mids for me. There are a couple other options I'm sure Reid's going to talk about, but yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
We've got a lot of the same. We've had a lot of same line of thought. Yeah, first, Dryer, Vander, yes, those are. I like the matchups. I like the form. Easy fall in right there. After that, kind of the next row, which just shifts up a little bit based on your conversation, but had Mukhtar on my list, looking at just some of his form as of late, looking at this Union game. But you make good points about what Union could look like and what difficulties might be there. Um, and he's had some hits or misses. He's not been as super consistent, as super um, big with his ceiling. Ceiling's there, but I could see him being a fourth or fifth option for people, or someone who's in that mix. But he was definitely one I think is worth considering. One that I think could give him a run for the money, as we're talking about this, is Heel, as he's had some production going up against Portland, which we do not look to Portland as a defensive uh, stronghold right there, and so that's an away team that could have some options. Again, this is if Mukhtar's looking at a number 5 for you. This could be someone who's challenging that as well, also on that list. I mean, I think Orlando is an option. Charlotte has not been as consistent with their defense as they have been in the past, and we can look at Ojeda, um, who I was a little down on last week because I hadn't seen some of the consistency, and he did great. He knocked out the park. I think it was 19 points with that. So great form, not an awful match on the road. And so that this is not a matchup that I like well enough to say, yeah, I like this as a road player. I like Heel better as the match. I like Heel New England's match better than I like Orlando's match. But if you're looking at some of those players, I think Heel or Ojeda is someone you could think through for that spot. You nailed my thoughts about Espinoza. I think having San Jose attacking coverage is a good idea for this round, just like it was for last round as well, because I don't rate Red Bulls very high, and so I think there'll be opportunities there for him. And you're exactly right that Espinoza has had kind of the frustrating habit this season of having these monster games where he goes in there and he gets like 15 double digit key passes, and he doesn't usually get a lot of shots, but he'll get double digit key passes. He'll get a whole bunch of just passes. He'll get crossing bonus points. He'll get assists, and then he gets 3 points in another game, 1 point in another game. So he's got those threes in there. His ceiling has not been, or his floor has not been as high as it has been in years past. And so I think he is definitely someone that is not guaranteed for your team, and you can easily think through the other options that are there. Some of those other options already mentioned, but Rusnak's one I've seen people mention a lot. He too has hit a rough patch of form going up against the last game of the week, Columbus. Not a bad matchup, but he's had other matchups that have not appeared to be bad for him, where he's not had that production. They went against Austin last week at home. He got 5 points. Not fantastic. The game against Dallas, which was 5 games ago, was the last time he scored. Hasn't got any assists since then, even. So he's had some struggles during that time. So I don't think he's necessarily as go-to this round as some people have him, or as he was earlier in the season. I think Acosta is one that people could think through. He got 1 assist during the double game. I still worry about him with his consistency as well. But if you're looking at some of these fifth forward spots, potential bench plays, you could put his name in there because Musa is getting more points. He's gotten 3 goals now in the last 2 games, and so that's an outlet for him. I'll throw in Chicago midfielders. They are away at Cincinnati. Cincinnati has been letting goals in, and so while we all love Evander, that does not mean that Chicago is not capable of scoring on Cincinnati even at home. There's a bit of a rivalry there as well, back to the USL days, and so I think Zickernagel is someone you could look at as a potential. 2 other players I want to mention. Just I don't think these quite make my 5 or 6, but I'll throw the names out there because one based on some recent production and one I saw mentioned in chat. So the first one is Colorado. Of course, I believe Jordy's injured. Is that right, Christian?
That's correct. Well, I don't know. He was listed as out for the second game. I don't know if he's going to be ready. I don't know the nature of the injury really.
So we have
I think it was
questions.
ankle. Yeah, we have questions about Georgie.
We have questions about Jordy. Um, but it's been, let's see here. Calvin Harris has had some some success lately. 2 goals in the last 2 games. Has not been playing much before then, but he got 75 and almost 90 minutes in these last 2 games, where decent number of passes, a few key passes, and so definitely on the fringe. That's why I'm not saying like this guy's in my 5 or 6, but at Sporting, they're hosting Sporting Kansas City, which does provide people opportunities. So that's an interesting name I think to keep an eye on at least from here. And then from chat, it was mentioned Vite from Vancouver as a potential option. As we've said, we are hesitant against the defense maybe from Vancouver because LA Galaxy has had some better production lately. Still not high on their defense. Vite, top scoring midfielder right now for Vancouver, has an assist last week or 2 weeks ago against San Diego. Did not score anything against LAFC or get much production last week for that game. Um, but during that San Diego game, monster amount of key passes, monster amount of crosses, and that was a bit of a blip. But he has had some history of getting some key pass bonus points. That could be one to keep an eye on. Again, I don't think that really makes the cut for me this week. And then the one I hadn't seen as much that you did mention that I think is a great shout out is Beal. Biel. He got a goal and assist last week, or at least a goal. He I think he got 10 points last week. Had some good production. He's been one that we've mentioned several times before. I do think Orlando can be scored on, and so I think if you're coming down between like Espinoza, Biel, or Mukhtar for a fifth spot, um, I think that's a very interesting conversation, and I think Biel could win out on that with that Orlando matchup because I think he's got a good one. But playing that first game on Saturday, you could easily have him on your bench, have a backup plan, see where you want to go with some of these other players. You could leave him there. Or you could have Espinoza on your bench. You could have Mukhtar on your bench. Mukhtar you won't be able to see as much, but you could definitely have Espinoza or even have Rusnak as a fallback, which I'm not sure I'm really high on right there. Let's go to chat real quick. Yeah, Vander Mukhtar. See a lot of Mukhtar in there. Espinoza. Um, let's see here. Black and Red appreciates your research, Christian.
Oh God.
He mentions he sees that San Jose New York Red Bull game being high scoring. We didn't mention either of the midfielders from Red Bulls. Does Forsberg or Morgan interest you at all after this last
Well,
game?
Morgan's hurt himself again.
Again, right. So I was opening up for that. Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if I like Forsberg enough. I mean, San Jose, they do ship goals, so judgment call, I guess. But I wouldn't pick Forsberg. No,
I don't typically, and of course he'll get it this week, but I just don't see the options coming from him. Even when they do score, it doesn't seem like it's consistently Forsberg, who is contributing or getting the points, and so I'm just not sold on them as a team for why they wouldn't be there. Let's see here. Portland starting left back is suspended. Yeah, good.
Somebody from San Jose that is probably a good differential would probably be Bo LaRue.
Good option.
He's starting to shoot. He's starting to actually take a more active part in that attack. And, some people think he's probably not the guy to be picking in fantasy MLS, but if you really need a differential who could hit, I think he's very capable.
And let me finish going through chat real quick.
Oh, by the way, sorry.
No, you do it. You're doing it. That's good. There's nothing else there.
I just wanted to say that we've been uh, pinging MLS or the guys who run the game to try to get some of these players in, like Ilowski, a couple others like Andrade from the right back from Houston, for example.
Yeah, yeah.
Guys who are getting consistent starts. And mark my words, I really believe that Ilowski just won the starting forward position from Ingvartsen. Yeah. Okay. But we haven't got there yet. Go ahead.
Fair, excellent. Well, let's get there right now, and we've covered everyone there. Thank you, everybody, for contributing to that conversation. Let's talk about forwards. Christian, who do you like?
Well, this one guy who's like really famous called Messi. He's going to be on my team if he travels.
I mean, is that our question this week? Like, is he?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Like, I mean, he's probably exhausted from all that World Cup, all those goals he scored during that World Cup. He did look lively in that last game. I mean, like, he actually ran, which is a big deal. So, I do. I'm just kidding, guys. I really do like him a lot. In fact, I have him capped right now, but I don't think you can afford to go without him. If he travels and he starts, you have to play him. I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna have to like not be a hypocrite here and follow my own advice, follow the hot hand. I've got Surridge on my bench. I won't rehash all that, but yeah, that might become someone else. If Alonso Martinez starts, I probably won't start him, but I have him on my list here. Right now, for my fallback, it's either Chucky Lozano or Chicho Arango. I disagree with your take that we need San Jose coverage.
Oh.
And this is because I watched their game very attentively against LA Galaxy. And yes, it was Cali Clasico. It was a rivalry. That does not excuse the absolute shit that I saw from San Jose on the pitch. And I'm not even kidding. It was very hard to watch. Prior to the game, their social media posted, yep, still number one in the league for XG, best attack in the league, blah, blah, blah. You guys shat all over your home pitch against the easiest defense to score on. What the hell? Like, I'm upset about it. Can you tell? Like, I was so livid. And that's because I capped Chicho Arango in a double game week, and he laid an egg against the easiest freaking fixture ever. And I'm sorry, but I disagree. If they play anything, you cannot play like that against the Red Bulls. I don't care how much you hate the Red Bulls. The Red Bulls will outrun your ass. Okay? They will outrun you. They will outwork you. That's what the Red Bulls do. That's the only reason they win, is because they will outwork the opponent. There's not a lazy person on that field for wearing red, period. And, well, except for maybe Choupo-Moting. But anyway, San Jose was last to the ball. They lost every duel for like 75% of the match. Like, they almost got beat. I mean, they literally, I can't even believe it. I'm apoplectic about it. Which obviously, because MLS, this means you have to have a San Jose attacker on your team this week. So yeah, I make myself laugh. Yeah, Reid's not even listening to me. Okay,
I am. I was waiting for you to go because I mean, I'm looking at the XG. I mean, I look at that game and Arango, I'm looking at the first game they had because they did not do well the second game.
God, it was terrible.
But I don't know if that was really the game that people were looking at. I mean, clearly you were looking at that game, but I mean, I thought people were looking at Dallas as a really good shot, and people would see what LA would do, and they did a lot in the Dallas game, and we saw the key passes, we saw the shots, we saw all of that. It did not fall against LA. You're absolutely right. It did not fall against LA, but I don't think Red Bulls is a great team. And so I think that they will have those opportunities.
They're not great, but they're faster. You know, they're just going to beat them off. Like,
so get
I'm
one and put him on your bench. Put Espinoza on your bench.
They play last. I'm not going to do that. That's not bench friendly.
Put him on your field, and then put a good player on the bench and scrub it. Exactly. There you go. Coverage from San Jose, but they've got
just
XG.
To say I had coverage.
Yeah, go for that. But they've got XG against that game. I've not seen the exact numbers for this round yet, but I mean they do have a lot of those numbers there, and the potential is good for that. So I was gonna wait, but I will jump in given the opportunity.
Yeah, you go right ahead, man. Go right ahead.
No, who else do you got? Who else do you got? I got a poll in the chat.
I was going to mention, well, let me see if I'm going to nerf you. You don't have him either. I was going to mention Benteke. Benteke, if he's fit, he probably is going to get minutes this week. I mean, what happens? I'm just posing the question. It's sort of like the Messi question here. You know, if he starts against that Atlanta defense, I mean, you kind of have to take him, right? I mean, like, is he going to get 60 minutes? Probably, if he starts. I mean, you don't want to take him if he doesn't start, right? Like, if he's just purely on the bench, you definitely don't want to do that.
Sure.
But if he starts,
scrub Arango.
I'm talking about Benteke.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. He starts, drop Arango, put him Benteke. No more.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Or, you know, like if you're brave, drop Surridge or somebody like that. But yeah, I mean, what do you think about that?
I like that. No, he wasn't on my team. I mean, I definitely have Messi on the field. Haven't decided about a captain yet, but I have Messi and Surridge and Arango as top options right there. I don't necessarily think you have to have Arango and Espinoza, but I think he's a good shout. I've seen some people that are looking at other options, but I think Arango did well last round with what he had, and so I think he's a good shout for this. I would be very open to dropping him for Benteke. I don't know if we'll get the full minutes from Benteke, but I do think this matchup is the team. Exactly. I do think this is a matchup where I'd be comfortable taking that risk because I don't think Atlanta could even withstand a 60-minute Benteke. So I think that is a trade I would happily do. I don't know if I would drop Surridge for him. I don't think I like Arango better than Surridge for this matchup there. So I wouldn't go that route. I mean, other options if people want to look at if you equally don't like either of those players. I think Messi's good for this round with how he's performed in the Cup. I like the Montreal matchup for him. I think he's going to be a little annoyed about that 4-0 loss as well, especially with Zlatan stoking the fire, saying Messi didn't lose, it was everybody else, that kind of thing. But I could see why people might want to look at Musa with the form that he's been on for this round, going up in that game against Minnesota.
Right now.
I'm going to say it. I don't know if I like it for my top three, but I can see the train of thought. You have made some good arguments as to why you think that might not work, but I can see why people
would probably go
with Musa. Yeah. I think Kuipers is one that's always in that mix too. I mentioned earlier about Cincinnati does give up goals. Kuipers is a golden boot run, so I think he's in that week for sure. Speaking of Cincinnati, because people pretty much ask me every week, what about Dinke? I will mention Dinke now. He's not in my list there. He's he's not as consistent. He has great hold up play. He does a lot for the team. He's still not built that connection with Evander, and I think if that could happen, that's where the magic would work. If they were really able to connect more, that would be good. You mentioned Martinez already from New York. I think that's a great shout out. And because of Ashley, who is not here, and you mentioned him earlier, we can mention Klaus. He had some production. I don't think he had any last week, but he had 2 or 3 goals total over his last 2 games before then. So he was getting some opportunities. So we'll throw Klaus out there for Ashley on the road to RSL. Mostly not having super confidence in RSL for that one because I'm not really confident in the consistency of St. Louis itself. So definitely outside of a top 3 or 4 for your forwards. But that one's for Ashley that we mentioned there. Otherwise, I mean, Houston's got some options. Red Bull's got some options. I mean, these are people on the road that do have some forwards that have scored. I just don't think they're better than the ones that we've already mentioned with the short lists that we've given right there. So let's go to chat real quick. I put a poll in there. Who has Messi in their team? We had 9 votes. 78% of people said that yes, they had Messi in their team. Seen a lot of Surge Messi, then people looking at Dinke possibly, people looking at Messi or Arango, Bouanga. I think that's a great mention right there, Christian, for Bouanga right there. For what it's worth, might go Chucky or Chicho as well. I don't think you do both this week. Do you think those are? Would you entertain, Christian, like a Messi, Chucky,
No.
Arango? So yeah, I think it's a one of those guys right there.
It's one or the other, with the intent to scrub. Lozano was always my third scrub if I needed it.
So I think that's right there. But that leads us to the final question of the night, and it's who is your captain, Christian? And if not Messi, then who? Since we're back to this nonsense.
Well, it's Messi, and if not, I would 1,000% cap Andres Dreyer with a strong recommendation for Evander as well.
Top 3 right there. Gene really quick says Evander right there for him, just right off.
I knee-jerked Dreyer in chat earlier. I said I'm 100% capping Dreyer this week. And then somebody said, well, even if Messi's against Montreal, and I, kind of shit commented, well, he's not going to travel anyway. so that, we'll see, But,
so I think that's the question is, I mean, Messi's been doing stuff in this Club World Cup. And
I mean, he very well could stay home. And
this is travel, and this is cold, and this is relatively soon after all of that. So I think this is a one where if you could tell me Messi would get 90 against Montreal, 100%, that's going to be there. If he doesn't start against Montreal and he does travel, I still think he's a no, because he could come on and get a goal and assist. I mean, that's absolutely something that could happen with 45 minutes of Messi. That could be a 35 minutes of Messi. Absolutely could happen.
Especially against Montreal.
But I think it's too much of a risk if he starts on the bench in the 18. I just think that's too much of a risk for your captain play right there. So if he travels to Montreal and starts, it's a tougher question. But I would have reservations of what kind of rest would he be given. And thinking of that, because I mean they're going to be on the road again. I mean, next week we have round 20, and it's a double game week, and he's going to be playing on the road in New England on Wednesday, and then he's going to be playing at home against Nashville on Saturday. And so you just got to wonder, like, is he going to hit that? Does he get rested with one of those? Is it against Montreal? Is it against New England? Both cold places to visit. And then just to make sure you are there for that home game against Nashville. It seems like there has to be some minutes managed within this next couple of weeks, and this could be part of it for where we see. So I think that's a legitimate risk. So I think that you guys have all mentioned the top 3. I think. I mean, Dreyer and Evander are definitely the two that are coming up as your next best, and maybe not even next best, as the first best options with just their form and then the really good looking matches that they have against Houston and against Chicago for both of these teams. So big toss up. We'll need some more numbers to really make a final decision, and Ashley or I will have that coming out at least on Thursday for this week with our little YouTube short captain video right there. So last time checking the chat. Let's see here. Messi, then Dreyer, then Evander. We've got people. Messi with the fallback of Dreyer. So Dreyer seems to be the runaway number 2 for the people in the chat for who they would go to before Evander. So sorry, Gene. That's what people are looking at. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us tonight. It's been great chatting through this upcoming round. Been great having Christian on there to go through all this with some great takes. Before we go, let's wrap everything up with our plugs. Christian.
As usual, the MLS Fantasy Boss Discord. Be there or be square.
And behave, or Christian will ban you.
This is not untrue. I will ban you.
And of course, I will plug MLSFantasyBoss.com. It's been great having the new lineup of articles that we've had this year, so I hope people are enjoying those. Would love to hear feedback, but again, with the slightly earlier start date of Thursday this week, we'll be trying to get those out as soon as we can. So MLSFantasyBoss.com. Stay tuned for all of that content coming out. So yeah, that's it. Hope everybody had fun tonight. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And as always, good luck.